Tori. So I am just prepping. I needed to do some interfacing before we got started here, so I'm in the middle of doing that. But as you come into the sew along, say hello, tell me how you're doing. I am going to also, I need to bring it up on my iPad so I can see your comments once I get to sewing. But I wanted to hop in so that I can be here for when people pop on. If you are new here to the channel, my name is Genevieve, and this is one of the live sew-alongs that I do. I try to do at least one a month, and it's basically I provide a pattern, well, I usually share the pattern so that you can order it and prep all your stuff in advance, and then we get to sewing together. This month, the pattern is my own personal pattern called a Farmhouse jar mug maker. It is a pattern that was like a eureka moment. We use a lot of mason jars here as glasses. I know it's something many people do. It's not something that's out of the ordinary. But if you ever used a mason jar or a ball jar to be a glass, you know that they sweat because it's just a glass. It's just, you know. And so the Farmhouse jar mug makers are a way to, one, give it a handle, and two, give it away from not sweating all over your stuff. So I do think I have the pattern linked in the details of this video, so you can download it. It's fairly simple pattern, really just measurements that you need to do. And we're gonna do one today on my domestic machine and one using vinyl on my Sailrite fabricator. So again, I am just prepping the pieces, getting them interfaced, because I did not do that. I'm sure there's a lot of other moms that are this way. It's the first week of band camp, it's first week of band camp. My son is going to be a senior this year, and so all the plans, all the things that need to happen, it feels like everything happened in one day today. So I did not get these prepped, but I'm just ironing them real quick so that we have them prepped and we can head over to the sewing machine. And that's when I'll also pull you guys up. I don't know if I can see comments. Say hello if you can say hello to me, so I can see if I can see comments here on my phone. But I'm just about done getting all of these ready. So if you're using quilt cotton like I am today, I am using some of the My Little Shindig Club fabric that we get each month from Katie over at My Little Shindig. She has these really great, it's a little bit larger than a fat quarter pack. You get 6 different prints each month, and this month the Farmhouse jar mug makers were featured because along with the club you do get a pattern, and so I thought it would be really cool if we did a sew along since it is my pattern. All right. The one thing that if you did get the club pack, you got like kind of a template for Duncan fabric, yeah. You got a template for the bottom, and I'm going to show that to you in a second here. The bottoms of these is a 3-inch oval, but it's technically like, I would say, a 4-inch piece that's rounded, like a 4-inch rectangle that's rounded. So I'm going to measure this quick just to kind of show you. So here's the bottom piece. So it's not a full circle. So yes, we are dealing with curves. It's a really great way to actually practice curves. This was something like if you've done the bottom of a H2O to go bag, it's similar to that, just smaller. Let me see here. So where the curve begins is at the end of your 3-inch marks. So you can kind of see where that starts. Like at the end of your 3-inch marks, you're going to be starting to curve. But that goes, let me see. It goes like 3/4 of an inch. So you actually, if you were going to cut this in a rectangle, you would want a 5 by 3.5 inch piece to then curve the sides. The way that I cut mine is with a Fisker's circle cutter. It's very easy. It comes with this little rotary tool, and so I line up the bottom of my fabric on this bottom line here, and then it's cut in half. You know, you have it folded in half, and I just cut this 3-inch. This is a really great tool just to have around. I've used it a fair amount to make circles and to make you know, different shapes that I need, especially if you are also a quilter. It's a good one to have. So again, we are going to make 2 today. We're going to make the larger one using our domestic machine, and I'm going to make the smaller one using my fabricator, using my industrial machine. I wanted to do that because I wanted to show you, yes, the small one is more difficult to do, but it's still really doable on both a domestic and a industrial machine. So I wanted to be able to show you that these are so simple to do. All right, so I'm gonna move my pieces over to Jasmine over here, my Bernina. We're gonna get her warmed up. Okay, and we're gonna move you guys. Oh, before I move you, let me get you guys on my screen so I can see what people are saying and say hello to everyone. If you've never been to one of my sew-alongs, one of the things that I try to do, and now last month nobody got the prize from the sew-along, but I usually give a secret code, secret password that you can go over to the RSVP on my Facebook group. As long as you join my Facebook group and you RSVP, you can comment. And if you comment the secret code word, you are entered to win the item that I make on the sew along. So today it would be the 2 size mug makers, a 32 ounce and a 16 ounce. And the code word is saxophone. That's what my son plays in the marching band. So that is the secret password. Let me turn the volume down so we don't hear my lovely voice. And let's bring the sew along up so I can see who's here. Tori is here. Julie's here. Just found the donkey fabric. Yes. Yes. So I think, so here's one of the things that I will say about these mug makers. Let me show them to you. So these are ones I made yesterday using some of Katie's My Little Shindig fabric and some of my Mystery Dynamic fabric. Katie does a club every month with the cotton woven. I do a kit. Mine is on a subscription. Katie's is. I do a kit every month, a limited kit of hand-dyed fabric. And because Katie and I are good besties, we're coordinating some of our colors. So my kit for this month is called End of Summer Delights. And one of the fabrics is this, which I don't know. Let me turn maybe the light will show you. It's called Peaches and Cream. So it goes really well with the strawberry. And then the other one is Raspberry Lemonade. So this is the 16 ounce. So you can see it's so nice to put your mason jar in if you're using it as a cup, because it's going to give it a lot of nice coverage, and it also gives you this little handle. So these are the 2 colors in my kit this month that are still available. I only do 15 kits. It's still available in the shop. Look for August Dynamic Fabric Kit. And then Katie has the My Little Shindig fabric. That's what I lined this one with. And it goes really, really well together. So I'm going to show you, I made both of these on my domestic machine. All right. Yes, they'll be great with Duncan. So what I wanted to share with you is this is a great, if you are a craft fair person, if you're doing craft fairs like your hometown, like Christmas craft fair or autumn craft fair. These are great gifts to add on to the other mason jar crafts that are out there. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, there's the brownie mix or the hot cocoa mix, like where they put it in a mason jar and they make the lid really pretty and everything. How nice would it be to add one of these to the outside? Then they could actually use it as a cup. So great idea for all sorts of your seasonal fabrics, for your holiday fabrics and things like that. So, and definitely Dunky fabric. I know Julie's saying Duncan. I'm from the Northeast, so Duncan is definitely a winner here. But Starbucks fabric, I know Katie has some Starbucks fabric too. It would be really, I actually sold out. I might have one of the Starbucks fabric, but I had made a bunch out of my Duncan fabric and I sold out of those. So keep that in mind if you're looking for gift giving, teacher gifts, that sort of thing. These are really great for that. All right, now that I have you on my iPad, I'm gonna position myself so I have everything, and we're gonna move the phone over to Jasmine. And now I have a broom coming after me, guys. All right, so we're here. Jasmine is my newer Bernita sewing machine. You can see my Girl Scout cookies in the background. Don't judge me of my snacks. They're probably outdated, but Girl Scout cookies never actually go bad. All right, so I'm just gonna, and don't judge me with how I sew with my domestic. I don't know all its bells and whistles just yet, okay, you guys? All right. So the first thing we're going to do, and I'm not going to put tags on these, but if you were going to put your tag, I always put my tag on the handle part of these. So you would want to do that now. You would want to put your tag like here on the outside. If you have nice, like smaller bag tags, this would be a great place to put that tag. I do have some little tags that say not your cup of tea. So I do have a little tags that say that, so I could put one of those on there, but I'm not going to do that for now. I just wanted to let you know, if you do want to put a tag on these, now's when you want to do it, before we put these face to face and sew them together. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to show as well is I'm going to show you, for this one, I'm going to show you how to like sew the handle on. On the vinyl one, I'm probably going to do a rivet, but you could also do a snap as well if you want it to be a snap. So there's a lot of different options about how you put the handle on, but I wanted to do at least one where we were just sewing it on, so that those of you who don't have a rivet press or a snap press, you are still it's definitely possible for both sizes to, I mean, it takes a little finagling. Like this one, I got a little crooked. This one definitely takes more finagling, because you have to like kind of turn it inside out and get it underneath there and kind of like get it to sew across. You could hand stitch it if you wanted to. I would probably, if I was going to stitch the smaller ones on, I probably would do a hand stitch there in the future. But the larger one, it's completely possible to get that in underneath there and have enough of room to be able to maneuver it. So you can do everything with your domestic machine without any extra hardware or any extra stuff. So you can kind of see how my tags are too. All right, I hope that was helpful. Okay. Does everybody who's sewing with me, are we prepped and ready, or are we just following along and listening along? Because I know there was several people who were like, I want to sew this with you. So the first thing we're going to do with this is you basically want to decide now which is going to be your inside, which is going to be your outside. I'm going to make the strawberry fabric the outside again. So we're going to do right sides together. And I just put 3 clips, one on each side and one on the bottom. And then this, we're going to do a 1/4 inch. I'm still learning what is my measurements on my domestic machine. A 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to back stitch at the beginning and end, but we're going to come down the one side, turn along the bottom, up the top. This is how dirty my iron was. I should have cleaned it before I started. Thank God it was not on the other side of the fabric. I really need to, if anybody has any clean your iron tips, like what to use to clean it, I feel like just water and, you know, like I have like a kind of like a microfiber cloth. Doesn't really, it doesn't work. And I haven't learned yet how to keep my needle down. I think that's a setting. Okay, so now once we have that right size together, this is probably one, I think this is more difficult than putting the bottom on. We're going to clip the corners down here just so that it turns kind of nice. You could clip this bottom edge a little bit closer if you want to. Just make sure you're not cutting any of your stitches. And then we're going to turn this right side out. And I'm going to take it over. Actually, before that, you want to get, like, if you have a turning tool, it'll be really helpful to have a turning tool here to get these corners to come out nice. So I use my Dollar General glass nail filer. And then you just want to push out those corners. I use the rounded end first, and then I go back in with the pointed end just to get it to look nice. All right, I'm gonna go and just iron that flat so that it's staying nice and flat for me. Real quick. Obviously you can't iron it if you're doing vinyl. You wouldn't do that, but now we have this nice piece. You could, if you wanted to base this top piece, you could. You don't have to. Everything's going to go pretty easy here. So just keep that in mind, that if you do want to base the top, you can, but it's not necessary. Okay, so there we have that piece. We're going to set that aside. Now we're going to get our lining piece. All right, this piece here, this longer piece. Again, I'm doing the larger side, the 32 ounce on my domestic today. And we're just going to put right sides together. Okay. And you can put a clip there. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then you just want to decide which side is your bottom and which side is your top, okay? Because we're going to want to clip our centers. So we're going to kind of fold it in half and clip that center, okay? And then after we do this stitch, we're going to clip the other centers that are on here. All right, so we're going to stitch this down with a 3/8 inch seam allowance now, because remember, this is our lining, so we want it to be smaller than our exterior. So 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to just back stitch at the beginning and the end. Everybody can see okay, hopefully. Yell at me if you need help. Toothpaste and a washcloth. Smart girl, Julie. All right, so back stitch the beginning and the end. I have not tried toothpaste and a washcloth. I need to do that. Okay, now that we have that in place, we're going to fold it this way in half, match that center notch that we did to our seam, and now we're going to clip these other two areas. Okay, so we have 3 notches that we made in our seam. You could take this over to your iron and press your seam flat. I usually just finger press it. That's usually enough to get it to stay where I want it to stay. All right, and then we're going to take our lining oval piece and we're going to just clip little marks. Okay, I just clip little marks that are the centers, just so I know where I'm matching it up. So I'm going to fold it the one direction, then match those 2 little clips, and then on the sides do little clips. Okay, so I have 4 marks on there. Now you'll notice on the oval I have 2 long sides basically, and the two ends. So I'm going to start with my long side, 1 notch, and I'm going to find the seam, and I'm going to put them right sides together like so, and I'm going to take my clips and put my clip towards me just like this, because when we go to do this, you're going to want the clips to be this way instead of facing inward, just as a precaution. Okay, so I'm going to now go and find my other long side of my oval and match that up to my notch on the opposite side of my seam, clip facing me, and then the same way with my side clips and notches, I'm going to match those. And this is where people, I guess, feel intimidated by this, but again, it is not a full circle, so you're not, it's not that bad. All my clips are under my machine here. Let me get some of these out here. All right, so now I'm just gonna go around and I'm kind of just gonna like try to fan out my edge up to the edge of my oval piece and clip it in place. And I usually use a fair amount of clips because it is a smaller piece. And I'm just gonna, you don't need to, I usually never have to clip any like notches or anything like that in anything, you know, like to fan it around. But if you wanted to, you could. I just would not do further than like 1/8 of an inch of a clipped little notch to get around the curves, okay? I need some more clipperoos. Yeah, you just want to see how I have it. Just want to fan it. And the interfacing that I'm using on this is the Castine SoFuse, the regular SoFuse, not SoFuse Plus. All right, so you can see now we have it look like this. You do not want to sew it like this. Okay, that's why I was telling you your clips, you don't want to be facing down like on the bottom. You want them to be facing up, because what's nice now is we can actually kind of turn this using this part and flatten it and keep our seam allowance this way. So I'm gonna like kind of get you guys closer. Maybe we'll turn a little bit. Hopefully that, let me see, I don't want my hands to be in the way of what you can see here. Let's see. How's that? Let's lift it up a little bit. All right. So here's where I'm going to take away, and if you can, it's really helpful if you can take the base and have your arm of your domestic machine. Like this is where if you're using a industrial machine, you can't take anything off, you know, so you're just using your table. If you can take your table away like I can on my Bernita, that's a definite benefit of doing it on a domestic machine. So I'm going to get rid of my clip that's right there on my seam. And I'm just going to move this in. And again, this is our interior, so I'm going to do this at a 3/8 seam allowance. Okay. Now I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end, and I'm just going to try to keep following where that 3/8 notch is to go all the way around. All right. And I'll show you, like, the biggest thing is you want to try to avoid, like, really big wrinkles. You're going to get some because, again, it's not a perfect circle, and that is completely okay. Like, I know there's some patterns that say, like, oh, don't get any pleats or wrinkles. This is completely fine to get a small pleat or a small wrinkle. You just don't want them to be, like, super big. But you just want to try to keep, those clips should keep everything in place and everything fanned out. And just stop as you go, taking those clips out. And just keep moving. You can see like how I'm moving that top part out of the way. Oh. And like there, I kind of have a bigger fold. I might want to play with that a little bit, see if I can get that to fan out a little bit better. But it's all right. And now I'm coming to the end here. So I just want to try to make sure I'm not sewing it crooked. That's kind of the biggest thing, is that you're not twisting that top part. That you're trying to keep it, you know, where you originally clipped it. Okay, so now for this one, you just want to go around and you want to clip that excess off to like 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just gonna go around the bottom here, making sure I'm not clipping my stitches, and I'm just gonna make 1/8 of an inch. That's way we don't have a whole lot of bulk when we set this down inside our exterior, okay? Okay, so that one's done. We're just gonna leave it turned inside out, okay? Like so. Ta-da! All right, now we're gonna grab our exterior piece, okay? Like so. I'm just gonna put one clip, and we're gonna do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that for me is just following along the edge of my foot here. Everybody good? This is my pattern. This is my pattern. I mean, I looked all over the internet to see if anyone else had thought of a ball jar or mason jar cozy. And there were a lot of crocheted. There were a lot that just like went around, just like the cup cozies do, you know, like around the ball jar. Basically, it was a cup cozy, you know, that could fit, you know, around the ball jar. Oh no, you guys. I knew this was going to happen eventually. Intermission for I don't know how long. So this is the first time I'm ever having to change out, oh dear God, my bobbin thread. I don't know how to do it, you guys. I don't even know how to get the bobbin out. You guys are gonna make fun of me. I know it. Like I don't even have nails. How do you get this out? Is there a button? Oi, bobbin. Bobbin. Tell me. Okay, I know how to put it in. Showing me how to thread it, which I'm gonna have to watch again. It's not showing me how to get it out of here. Let's see here. Oh my God, the whole thing came out, you guys. Is that supposed to happen? How do you get just the bobbin out? I don't have nails to do this. Wow. We're gonna have you stop looking at what I'm doing and look at me, because we need to pull again. My Bernina, I got my Bernina in January, and I purposely, one of the things about these sew-alongs is so that I can learn. Like it forces me to do this. So let's see, accessories at a glance. I was still using the original bobbin thread from January, y'all. Okay, let's see here. Bobbin. Instructions. I don't need to thread the bobbin yet. Oh, okay. Remove the bobbin case. Press the bobbin case release. Oh, it's a button. Oh, okay. All right, there we have it. And that has to go back in there somehow, right? Is it magnetic? Oy vey. How did the rotary hook, like the whole thing came out? Well, we'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, now we need to make a new bobbin. Okay, there's a foam pad here, right? The foam pad, thread spool, and the appropriate, okay, fitted. Place the empty bobbin on the right winding unit so the silver sensory surface is downwards. Okay. There we go. All right. I know this is horrible, but this is all part of the process of sewing, right, everybody? Okay, so we do need to come up one, and then we go around two, like so. Yeah, yeah. And then three. Oh, this is fairly easy to make a bobbin, huh? Nope. Oh, that's what I need to do there. All right. Now that we're making, Holy Moses. Okay. Interesting. All right, now we have to figure out how do we wind this. All right, we're going, I don't know if you guys want to watch this or not, but if we're going thread this direction. You guys have to understand that prior to this, if you're new to my channel, prior to this, my domestic machine was a 1970s Singer. So if you're wondering, like, why is she, like, sounds scared of her sewing machine? It's because I am scared of my sewing machine. Okay, so this goes that way. Oh, my. Oh, and then, oh, okay. And then out that hole like so. Oh, wait. And now here's this. Why? Okay. Okay, now that's in there. And now what? It comes out this way. Okay. And then all right, everybody. Let's see if I did it. Your help, Surrey. I had an owner's manual. All right. All right, let's see if we did this correctly. Well, that'll be nice. Now we'll have a pretty top stitch and a pretty bottom stitch. Come on. Oh, I don't think I did it right, you guys, because it's not bringing up my bobbin. All right. Oh, maybe. I think I locked the thread. Yeah, that's what happened. I locked the thread. I locked the thread at the wrong place, I think. Okay. Let's make sure is it gonna bring it up through? Let's get a piece of fabric that we can test this on. Because I don't want to ruin what we already got going here. Let's just test a piece of this interfacing. Let's see how it does. Perfect. Looks nice. All right, we're back. We're back in business. All right, so back to our exterior that we were working on. Again, we're doing this seam allowance because it is our exterior. See, we learned something new. We're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just gonna start at the beginning again. Oh, I forgot to back stitch. we go. You definitely want to back stitch on this just because you have such a small seam allowance and because you're doing quilt cotton. Thank you for sticking with me, Julie. I appreciate that. All right, so we need to find our one end, opposite end of our seam. Just clip a small little notch there. Then we're going to fold it in half again. Find our seam with that notch, okay? And here, again, you could iron this down if you wanted to. I usually just press it with my finger then, but you want to center that notch on that seam. And then clip your other two, just real small clips, because remember, we're also going to make this seam allowance a little smaller as well because it's the exterior. All right, so we have 3 notches clipped and then also our seam. Just kind of press that flat with your fingers like so. All right, and then we're also going to take our exterior bottom. We're going to fold it in half. Just clip little notches at both ends. I really hope you guys don't mind that I learned stuff like that on these. I feel like it could either, one, be really beneficial to see someone else go through the process, or also be commiserating, because I bet you, for many of you, there's parts of your machine you guys have not learned how to use. So I know I'm not alone. Or at least I want to believe I'm not alone in that. Because sewing, no matter how long you sew, I feel like you're always learning. You're always learning something. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to match up that notch with our center seam and clip facing us, okay? And just do that, matching the notches first. I feel like these sew-alongs, basically it's just, you're always going to see me learn something, because I'm really trying very hard to make my investment in this machine worth it. All right, so now here with the exterior, you might notice now, because you made this exterior bigger, that you have a little bit more give, right? You have a little bit more wiggle room, like it doesn't spread out as nicely, okay? You're probably gonna have more areas that are gonna create like a wrinkle, all right, or a pleat. You could do one of two things. Find kind of the center of that, all right, and make an actual very tiny little pleat, okay? And you'd end up basically with 4 of them, okay? 1 at each corner. Or what I like to do is, here's where if you really want to create a little tiny notch in that, in that corner area, and then just now fan it out, and then place one of your clips right on that fanned area so that you know where that is at, okay? But you don't have to do that part. Like, that's not, I don't have that as part of the pattern. But if you really want to try to not have very much like pleating along the bottom, those are kind of your 2 options, is to just cut one little notch right at the corner areas. You're still going to have some, you guys, you're still going to have some pleating. Because it doesn't make it look bad at all, okay? But if you want to try to go around those curves a little nicer, you can totally just clip a small little notch. And like right where you think the corner is going to be. Okay. So now we're going to just do that same tactic. All right, we're going to start, you guys can see pretty good now. We're going to start right where that seam is, and we're going to do the 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, okay? And like I said, you just want to try your best to keep like moving, like laying down this fabric, not turning it, okay? Try to keep your top one where you clipped it at, okay? Turn the base, don't turn the top, just like lay that base flat. And you're going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. You can see kind of like I'll go put my hand inside and kind of pull it the like side direction. That way I know I'm keeping it, you know, on the fabric where I need it to be, on the base. And kind of holding it with my, you could use a stiletto here. I'm sure some of you are like, you're gonna sew your fingers. Possibly. I have never gotten really used to using a stiletto. I've tried. Okay, so now we have the exterior piece done. You can also here, just be really careful because this is a smaller seam allowance. You can also go here and just clip all the way around. It does help to not have that excess fabric in your seam at the base. It does help it sit down in there nicer. Okay, so there's our exterior. We are going to turn our exterior right side out, and you can kind of see like how my base is. You know, I do have a couple little areas where there's little tiny pleats, but for the most part it's still the oval. And the oval, instead of a circle, the oval is really beneficial to getting the ball jar to sit flat in it. I did try a circle base when I was working on the pattern, and it didn't sit as flat to do like an actual circle. So the oval base is for a purpose. We're going to take our exterior now, all right, and we're going to match the seams. We're going to put it inside. We're going to drop it inside. And you really want to push it down in, like really kind of make sure it's down in there where it's supposed to be, okay? Because that helps make sure that when we're finishing this top seam, that it's really down in there really well, okay? So now that's what we're gonna do next. And what I always like to do is I like to fold my inside seam, my inside lining first. Make sure that seam is flattened, okay? And then fold my outer seam just slightly smaller so that I can make sure that my exterior is a little higher than my interior. And before I add the handle, I'm going to do this and just pin it all the way around, starting at the seam, like so. So I'm going to fold my interior, and stripes in the interior is always helpful because if you cut it straight on the stripes, you probably can just follow the stripe. This one isn't cut straight on there, but, and it's about, I would say you're about 3/8 of an inch for the inner one, and then about 1/4 of an inch for the exterior. I think I have everything listed in the pattern, those measurements, but as I'm doing it here, that's what I'm doing. You could iron this beforehand if you wanted to. It probably wouldn't give you as much hassle as it's giving me if you did iron it. It's probably the proper technique to do. Okay. But you just want to make sure that your lining is just a slight bit behind the exterior, like so. Okay. All right. Now that we have this clipped all the way around, I'm just going to move my clip that's at the seam to the side, okay? So that I have a little bit of an opening here, and I'm going to grab my handle. So the handle, I usually, you could figure out here what center. It's only going to help you for a little bit, okay? To know, like, okay, I'm putting it down in, and I want to do it this direction, and I don't have a center clip on that side. I only clip the one side. So you want your exterior facing the lining fabric, okay? So that when I flip it this way, I'll have my handle the right fabric, okay? So I'm going to line up with the bottom of my fold, that top part of my handle, okay? And then make sure that that center seam, like with my fingers, I can feel that the center seam is in the right place. And then I'm gonna take my clips and I'm just gonna like kind of clip them on an angle to clip that in place as much as I can, because this is where we're gonna start our top stitch so that we can go all the way around and that we're securing the handle. This is where it is really great if you have that you can take the arm off of your domestic machine, or if you have, what do they call that? The industrial machines that have that. Because then you can, for the larger ones especially, you can actually get it all the way around, at least I can, all the way around my arm. But we're going to do a top stitch, and we're going to do an 1/8 of an inch top stitch. Okay, so that's like the inside part of my foot. And we are going to back stitch at the beginning and the end here because we want to make sure that this handle's nice and secured at the top. So I am going to, though, change my stitch length to a 4. Okay. And we're just going to top stitch all the way around. And then this ensures that your interior and your exterior are together. And sometimes you might, as it's coming around, you might need to look, see as your lining starting to peek up. Just make sure that you're keeping it in place. pulling threads. Get in there, thread. We don't want to see you. Because that lining will want to kind of move on you. And it should have fit right down in real nice. If you do those seam allowances that I share, you shouldn't have any issues with like it being wider or bigger, you know, like it should fit pretty snugly, pretty perfectly right down in. And as we're getting to this part, this is where you might get a little bit of a hump, like, you know, you're sewing over. But it shouldn't give you any type of real bad buckling or anything like that. Okay. And nothing's breaking, it's just my clips falling. So now we can clip those stitches. And there we have the top stitch. I mean, these are even really cute, just as like, you know, like little bins to put things in, really. So we have our handle. Now we're just going, what I like to do is this is how I gauge it. I think I have measurements for this too in the pattern, but I just take my clip, and if the top of my clip reaches the top of the mug maker, that's how much of a fold I want. And then that's how far away it's going to be. I think it's like 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch from the base, if I remember correctly. And so now with this, because we can't fit it anymore, like if I went this way, I'll show you. If I tried to stitch this on, I can't, you know, I can't go any further here. So I'm going to have to, the clips that are really great for these, and I actually have them all outside because I was using them to dye fabric, are the jumbo plastic clips, because they'll come down further and hold this more in place for you. So if you are going to make a lot of these, I do highly suggest grabbing those jumbo clips. I think I have links for them in some of my other videos. After this video is uploaded, I'll put a link to them on Amazon, but they're really nice. They're heavier duty clips and they're longer, so they'll hold this more in place for you. But all I'm going to do is I'm kind of gonna get it to where like it's almost turned inside out, but it's not. All right, and I want to get that in underneath. I'm trying to just keep it as much in place as I can. And because I know that I want to be about 1/2 an inch away, and I've clipped this top part, I can kind of maneuver it that I can see that with my foot. And I'm going to put that down. This is laying, as long as that's laying flat and you can kind of see, you can see if you're centered, okay? You can pretty much see that you're centered. I mean, I feel like I can see that I'm centered as far as the amount on either side of my handle, and that I'm in the right spot. And then you just want to back stitch at the beginning and the end. And I'm just going to be doing, I'm doing an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You just want to make sure you're not pushing through the other side of the mug maker at all, which you can pretty much feel where that's at. Okay. And now we're going to pull that out. See how good I was at feeling where, where center was and if I'm crooked. Pretty good. And then take that clip off, and that makes your handle. There we go. So again, this is for the 32 ounce. It'll fit a 32 ounce jar. And I don't know, I think it's just a cute, even if you use ball jars for like your pens and stuff, it's good for that. Okay, we'll have a little interlude. If you were not here live for the first part of the sew along, I do share over my free Facebook group. There is a event for my sew alongs, and I always have a secret passcode that I share, or password that I share, that at the end of the week, anyone who shares that secret password in the event will be entered for me to give away whatever I sew. So it means you would be getting these 2 mug makers, this 32 ounce one, and now the one we're going to move over to Hazel, my Gertrude Hazel, my Sailrite fabricator. We're going to head over to her, and we're going to sew one with vinyl. We're going to do the smaller version. I have not done a vinyl small one in a while, so bear with me. But we're going to do that. How's everybody doing? Everybody still with me who wants to be with me. And we're going to throw our clips in our clippy. Turn off Jasmine. Does anyone else name their sewing machines? I feel like that comes from my husband because he's a car guy and all of our cars have names. So it's probably, that's probably what it comes from. All right. Anybody have any questions or anything regarding the mug makers? All right, there we go. There's Gertie. Let me grab the iPad so I can see what you guys are saying. Julie's still with me. Thank you, Julie. All right. Another thing that's going on, y'all, over in my free Facebook group, we're doing something pretty fun this month. Partly Shark Week oriented, partly because my hand-dyed fabric for the month of August, the retail batch that there is, I think there's probably about a handful of pieces left, half-yard pieces left, of Surf's Up, which is Essence of the Ocean. We're doing a Riptide tracker, okay? It's just a fun coloring sheet, but it's for every time you need to use your ripper to color one of your Sharkies, and post a picture in the group. The download is free. It's pinned to the top of my Facebook group, and then this way it's something just to kind of cool our jets when it's time to rip something out. And at the end of the month, I will be taking everybody who's shared theirs, no matter how many times you share. Every time you share it, you get an entry for a gift card. And so, as you can see, I've had to color one Sharky so far. Let's hope today we don't need to color another one. But if we do, we do. All right, so for the small mug maker, I'm just making sure I have bobbin, okay. For the small mug maker, I have the size pieces. The exterior is all cut out in vinyl, not interfaced. Don't interface, it just makes it harder if you're using the vinyl. It's kind of already thick enough for that. And then I do have some of Katie's quilt cotton with the Sew Fuse from Castines. So just like we did with our handle for the larger one, we're going to do the same thing. Right sides together, okay? And we're going to clip it at 3 spots, the 2 sides and the bottom, and we're going to do our 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, okay? And you guys are going to get to see me give this one a whirl. And again, if you wanted to put your label on these, you would want to put the label on now before you sew these two together. I mean, you could put a label on the exterior of one of these if you wanted, like if you wanted to put it on the, like the main exterior. I just think it's kind of cute if your bag tag is small enough to put it on the handle area. So right sides together. Okay. I'm trying to put my foot down with my hand now. That's the thing about going from a domestic to a industrial. Okay. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end here. Don't need to lift it up. Oh, I ran out of bobbin thread. Good thing I have another bobbin made for this. Okay. And we're going to do some fairy floss. I have a fairy floss one that will match the yellow top stitch. This has so many multiple colors. This will be fine. All right, so we're just gonna clip our corners on the bottom of this one and that very bottom piece there. Okay, we're gonna turn it right side out. And this one here, you're gonna top stitch, and it might take some finagling depending on the type of vinyl you choose. I tried to pick a vinyl that's a little bit softer, that would be easy to turn with this, okay? This is Itching to Get Stitching vinyl, I think. And be my turner. And it just might take a little bit till you can pull it through. There we go. Okay, and now instead of, you know, ironing this, we're just going to top stitch this, okay, with 1/8 of an inch top stitch. You might want to like do like we did to do it, to like piece it together. You might want to clip it just to hold it in place for yourself. But I'm just going to back stitch once because that'll be hidden. Did I say the password again? I probably didn't say the password again. I got talking about something else. The password is saxophone. The secret passcode, whatever we want to call it. Saxophone, because that's the instrument my son plays. And actually, I started with the saxophone, but I was not in marching band for saxophone. Okay, so there we are. This is for our small mug maker. All right. Now we're going to do our interior. Okay. We're going to clip that in place. And again, we're going to, for the interior, we're going to do this 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to put my 3/8 inch guide there for me and change from a top stitch to a regular stitch. I'm going to back stitch the beginning and the end. All right, I want to clip my notches in the bottom. It's the exact same process. I just wanted to show one made with vinyl, and I wanted to make both sizes for the sew along. Because I know some people might not. I highly recommend starting with the 32 inch, even if you're just going to make one as a gift, just to kind of get the feel for making them. But I know not a lot of people use a 32 ounce one for their glasses. Okay, so I'm going to press this flat. So I have all my notches, just like the last one. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my base, my interior bases. Just clip those little... I don't recommend doing 2 layers of thick fabric. When I say that, I mean like don't do vinyl and like a thick waterproof canvas. If you have like a thin water resistant canvas, that would probably be okay, but I don't recommend doing too thick types of fabric, because what'll happen is it'll take up more space in the mug maker and your mason jar might not fit. Okay, dude, your Notions bucket is Tori's one of my besties in life. We're 80s girls together. Yes, this was last year when they had the the McDonald's kid Happy Meals. I had to treat myself. So I keep all my clips in there. Sometimes, like when I'm taking pictures of my stuff, I'm like, boy, that's not very professional looking. But you know what? You get to know a little bit about me. Because McDonald's, and I'm putting on the wrong side. McDonald's as a kid was like my grandma time. My grandma that I lived with until I was 4. She, every Sunday night, she would take me to my other grandparents' house. And my grandma, my mom's mom, who again who raised me until I was 4, she was the less strict house. She let me do, you know, be in my pajamas more of the day and stuff like that. And every Sunday night she would, when it was time to go to the more strict grandparents, and believe me, they were wonderful, she'd take me to McDonald's for a Happy Meal. When Happy Meals were like $1 or something, $1.50 or something like that. Because I know she couldn't afford it today if Happy Meals cost what they are today. So now this is where you're going to notice a little bit difference. There is a reason why I kept the same size base for the 32 ounce as I do the 16 ounce. It's because if I went smaller on the 16 ounce, it got a lot smaller and did not let the mason jar sit nice. So I kept the same size, but what's going to happen here is there in those corners, you know how we notched those other corners, you're going to get a little crease like this. So what I usually do is I find where the center is, and then I just kind of fold it to make a little pleat. It doesn't need to be fancy, you guys. It doesn't need to be perfect, all right? And I just put my clip over top of that, because that's where your corners are, all right? I was very lucky to, even though my parents were not able to raise me, my grandmothers really were amazing in my life. I had really wonderful, and my grandfather on my dad's side, he passed away when I was 10. So I didn't get a lot of time with him. I have a lot of memories with him, but my grandmothers were definitely big impressions in my life. To be, especially my dad's mom, in a lot of ways, because to be 70 some years old and have a 15-year-old in your house, that takes a special kind of a special kind of patience. I know that more now as a mom. So what you're going to do is just like we did with the other, we're going to kind of lay it flat, all right, as flat as you can make it. Now here's where you're going to get a little bit, because we have those pleats, you're going to get a little bit of like it wanting to not stay. So again, if you use a stiletto, this is the one to definitely use the stiletto for. We are going to do the 3/8 seam allowance here on the interior of this one. So just keep your guide there, all right? And we're just going to back stitch at the beginning and the end, and we're just going to like really, again, try to keep this from twisting. That's the main thing, like trying to really keep it where we have it. I really should use a stiletto, you guys. But it is what it is. Sometimes we're just really stubborn about that stuff. At least I know I am. I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can get my finger in there until there I do something that hurts me, right? All right. So there we have that, the interior piece. All right, and we're going to do just like we did with the interior piece of our larger one. We're going to clip this down so we don't have all that bulk on the inside. Tori, what? Watching you verifies that when I sew round objects, I'm not doing it wrong. Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I'm sure there's technique, but I don't think there's really a right or wrong way of doing things. There's your way. Make sure you don't clip your stitches. I got a little close there. Okay, so there we have our interior. Now we're going to work on our exterior. So our exterior, we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I no longer need my guide. Okay, we're going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Okay. And this is where you could get fancy if you want to get fancy. Okay. See you later, lady. Thanks so much for tuning in with me. Tori's such a good friend. All right, so I'm going to finger press this down. But if I wanted to top stitch this, again, if you have a, I'm going to forget what it's called, the one that has the arm, it's probably easier. I am not going to top stitch this just because I don't want to finagle it, but I could, because this is soft enough vinyl that I could kind of turn it just like I mean, if I can top stitch the Aphrodite bag, I could top stitch this, but I'm not going to top stitch my seams down. I'm just going to press it flat, okay? I am going to clip, make sure, because this is directional vinyl, make sure I'm clipping my notches on the bottom and not on the top. And then the same here, I'm just going to clip my little lines so I know where my centers are on all 4 areas. We have a tornado watch right now going on here, which is a little, always freaks me out. Okay, so because this is directional, I want it when they lift up their mug, it doesn't look weird. So I'm gonna line these up just like I did for the interior. But with the vinyl, it's gonna be a little bit more stiff. You know, like it's going to take a little bit more finagling. I purchased the pattern and logged using my phone, but I don't see the PDF. It'll come to your email, Julie. So check your email. If you still don't see it in your email, let me know. Okay? I think most everybody's been able to get it, but it'll come as a link to your email, I'm pretty sure. All right, so as you can see, we are definitely going to have pleats now. So it's up to you which direction you want those to go. I usually make it that on each side, to the one side, it goes to the one side and then it goes to the other side. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see that. So this pleat is folded to that direction and this pleat is folded to this direction. So that way, when I turn it the other side out, it'll look like uniformed. So again, I'll want to look and see, okay, this one, this pleat is going to go to that direction. And this pleat is going to go to that direction. And this definitely is trickier to do with the vinyl. You just want to kind of finagle it to push it down with your clips. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my clip there. And I'll put a clip closer to there to just kind of hold that in place. And now we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. Let me know if you don't find it, Julie. If we're not on live anymore, if you don't find it, let me know. As long as you're in my group, you can get a hold of me. I think Messenger will let me see if you're messaging me. Or DM me on Instagram too. You can do that. Again, this one is just a little bit trickier to like maneuver it, keep it in place, get it around. You also do want to, you know, like clip some of this down to like more of an 1/8 of an inch, just because that bulk. I think Katie's vinyl too from my little Shindig is very similar thickness to this from Itchin' to Get Stitchin', just to let you guys know. All right, we're gonna turn this puppy right side out. This vinyl is so cute. This Disney like camping vinyl. That's something that I've always wanted to do, is go to their wilderness, like their camping area. I've heard really good things about it. Maybe that'll have to be a sewing retreat. All right, so we have our exterior. You can see how my bottom is, like where I have those little pleats. Like there's one, there is one, okay? Very little. They're barely noticeable, but it helps you from having wrinkles like in random spots. If you can do those 4 corners, it makes it a little bit nicer. We're gonna set our interior down in there with our seams facing one another, okay? And like really push your interior in there, okay? And then we're gonna just do exactly like we did with our large one, and we're gonna fold it down. We want to make sure that we're kind of barely, shouldn't really see our interior, but I start at the seam allowance. Wow, could you do that? Look at how good that seam matched. Like you can barely tell that. I couldn't try that again. Couldn't do that again if I tried. I like to sometimes go, especially with the vinyl, to kind of go to the other side of the seam and do that side to clip it, just to kind of get my bearings, and then that helps with the rest of it. You could use some double-sided tape here to kind of keep, your seam where you want it. I guess what are we calling this? The top of it in place. But I have a feeling it probably would be helpful, but it also kind of, you can't maneuver it like maybe you want to maneuver it either. All right, so there we have our lining is on. Where's our handle? Here's our handle. So here is where I would use a piece of double-sided tape. I'm going to put a piece of double-sided tape on both sides, just because we're using vinyl here. This is really helpful if you are doing vinyl ones, because it keeps your handle from shifting and ending up crooked, okay? It's so nice when those seams match up and you didn't try it, right? All right, so I'm gonna move. I'm just moving my clips a little bit so that I can get that center area All right, and I'm only, let's see, I need to move this clip too. I'm gonna put the double-sided tape part centered onto my vinyl, like so, and then I'm gonna flatten my interior, like so, and then I'm gonna place those clips there again, because that's helpful. See? So again, you want to put your exterior facing inward and your interior, which would what this would be of your handle, facing outward. Okay? Now for the tricky part. Because again, this is vinyl, we're gonna have to, and this is why you want to do the double-sided tape, is because I have to flip this like this to do my top stitch. All right, so you're just gonna take it a little at a time. Like, you can flip it out a little bit, but that's why that double-sided tape really helps, especially with the handle, because it keeps the handle straight. It only happens like that as an accident. Yeah, I think so too. I think sometimes you can try your best to do that, and it never pans out exactly like you think it's going. All right, and I need to make sure I'm not on my clip. Change to a top stitch. All right, and we're gonna do an 1/8 of an inch top stitch all the way around. But this is, just take your time here. We're not going to back stitch here, because we are gonna pull the threads through like we do. And you slowly take things off clip by clip and turn it. My son's band director is a huge Disney adult. I guess that's the proper terminology. His band director loves Disney, and so he's been to Disney. My son and I, we went to Disney with our band. They played in the parade at Disney World and at Universal. But this year, part of their show is Star Wars, and his band director has people dressing up as Star Troopers, which is going to be fun. And I had to sew, about a week or two ago, I had to sew a black, like, big banner for them to be able to make a big flag for the show. All right, so there we have our top stitch all the way around. We did pretty good. We stayed over our base. Here comes my son. I'm doing a live, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm talking about you. You're okay. I'm gonna just double tie our knots. Burn our threads down. Make sure that that lining is like really down in there. Now we can see where our handle is. Again, what I do for my handle is I just fold it enough that one of these clips kind of touches the top, and that's how I know how far I want it. Now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to mark it for a rivet to go. And so I think I did don't know if I did 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. I think I might have done 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark it in the center. Where's my... And we'll go over and we'll do that real quick with a rivet. Okay. You could here too, if like you really want to make sure that it doesn't move around on you, I would say depending on the thickness of your vinyl, you might want to do this. Is just take a little piece of double-sided tape and put it on the underneath part, almost like where your rivet's gonna go. Okay, and then line it up, and that'll kind of hold it in place there. All right, we'll come over and we'll do the rivet together. Why not, right? You guys don't mind if I move yous around. All right, so here we are over at the cutting table. Gotta move the iron out of the way. I've burnt myself so much this summer with this iron, with ironing fabric for the shop. I'm saving up to get one of those, it's like an industrial iron that you feed it through. But I need to save up a lot of money. I have these cute mini or Mickey head rivets, so that's what we're going to use because it's Mickey fabric. And I don't normally have anything to use it for. Oh, and I needed the thing to make the hole. I had someone ask me the other day about my cam press. I will tell you that if you don't have a cam press, you definitely want to get one if you want to start getting into like rivets and things like that. And they asked me if it was like a knockoff version or if it was actual cam press. Mine is an actual cam press, and I would say the best time to get the actual cam press, and I got all of the like attachments, like all of them, except for the only one that didn't come in my kit was this one, which is for like your what do they call these, like your lanyard clamps. That's the only one that didn't come in my kit. I got like the grommet, the snaps, all of that. I got all of the things over Black Friday, and it got a really good, like a deal. Right, so you can see what I did is I put my mug maker like into the arm here. Okay, and that gets me pretty much where I want to be, but I just want to like position it, make sure I'm at the right place. And put the, and what I like to do, oh, I can't do it with this one. Darn it. I'm going to have to pull it off. Usually if the part that's the front, I'll use the piece that goes down in the hole to put in there before I pull it out, because remember, you're dealing with a lining here on the inside, so it can be difficult to like put your finger way down in here and then get it in the right place. There we are. All right, we're gonna put our Mickey head on there. And then change this out. And you have to be careful with the Mickey rivets because you don't want to bend his ears too much. Oh my goodness. Screw on there. All right. I'm going to put it in there again. Oh, did you pop out of them? You did. You stinker. Come on. It didn't come out of the hole though. There we go. Now it's in. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm on the area. And I just press down gently so I don't bend his ears. But there he is. All right, there's the rivet. Let me get my ball jar, slip it in there. So you might find, we'll see if this one is like that. Nope, this one's good. Sometimes with the vinyl, it can be a little snugger, which is usually okay, you know, because you don't want it to fall out, but it's perfect. How fun. There he is. Little mug maker. This is again, so when I made this pattern, when I thought of this idea, it was actually right after, not too long after I had my fabricator. And if you don't know, we bought the fabricator specifically for us to mend our canvas tents for the farm. And so we actually were mending a tent, and I had to put our fabricator in our bedroom because that was the only place like with a long enough behind me to be able to put the tent behind me. And so it was definitely, yeah, it was definitely interesting. And I think I had my drink and I was drinking it out of a mason jar, and I was like, everybody else was making, I think Ochre Roots had just come out with like their cozies, because it's that time of year we're all thinking about fall and stuff like that. And I was like, I wonder if there is such a thing as a mason jar cozy. And again, like all I could find on Etsy and anywhere else was like crocheted ones. I couldn't find any that were like, that had a handle, that were sewn, like I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm like, I'm gonna come up with this pattern. And so the pattern is very loose, makeshift. Watch my tutorials if you buy the pattern to put it together. I'm not a pattern writer by trade, but I figured for a cheap price it would be something that could help my channel keep going, and would be something that if you do use mason jars as cups, or if you go to craft fairs and make mason jar crafts, it's a great add-on for that. So there it is, y'all. I'm really thankful to all of you for joining me on these. I can't tell you how much I just celebrated a year of doing YouTube. And so to have so many of you continue to follow me, continue to share with me, continue to comment and like, and all those things to purchase from me, it really does mean a lot. Like I don't know how to put into words how much it means. If you are not aware, I have launched my own hand-dyed fabrics. So if you go to thunderbirdhandcrafted.com, we have two websites. The Thunderbird Farm is our website that has our camping sites and a lot of other things. And then the Thunderbird Handcrafted has all of my items, as well as now Thunderbird Fabrics, which every month we do launch our retail batch of hand-dyed fabrics. So that's a variety of different bases in like one set color scheme. So we just released Surfs Up on August 1st. And so there's a fair amount of pieces of that left. We also now have available our Mystery Dynamic Fabric Kit. And so let me go grab, I don't have one from this month up here, but I do have next month's up here. And so in your Mystery Dynamic Fabric Kit, you will get thank you, Diana, 2 half yards of hand-dyed fabric in what I'm saying are mystery colors. If you pay attention to my social media and the Facebook group, you probably can guess what the colors are. I try to drop hints as much as possible. But inside you'll get 2 little black pieces like this that have your fabric. And along with that, inside there will be something called a color theory card. And my goal is to get you to think outside the box when it comes to colors. Maybe it's a color that you normally wouldn't purchase and you're like, how am I going to match this? The color theory card has all the complementary colors and everything to help you design using this fabric with other things in your stash. And then my besties that own their own shops, they're actually helping us out too. And you'll see that I have something called the Featured Friends that are also on the card, and recommendations from their shops of things that go with the Mystery Dynamic Fabric Kit. So the August kit, the theme for that one is End of Summer Delights. And and I'll just share live. There's only 10 of those kits left, and the colors are what I showed you at the beginning. The peaches and cream fabric, which the camera never does it justice, but it's really beautiful. That's in the linen canvas, really pretty. And the raspberry lemonade, which is in the cotton sateen. So there's only 10 of those kits left. So go over and check those out. They are available on the site, as well as a couple of the past kits. I think I have one of each of the first 2 months, and I might have like 3 or 4 left of last month's. So if you're, and I do reveal them after the 10th in the group, but I like people to have the mystery surprise. If you have any other questions, let me know about the mud makers. If you ordered the pattern, you need help, whatever, let me know. I do have like a very makeshift PDF that if you really need the base template, I can send that to you. So feel free, if you bought the pattern, I don't mind sending that to you if you really need it. Necessity is the mother of invention. It totally is. So thank you so much for being here. You have a great day. Diana, I don't think I said heat press. I think I said rivet press. Buy your cam rivet press, the entire set, over Black Friday. It is the best deal that they give for the whole thing. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful Monday. Beautiful start to your week. Hope everybody's making it through the back to school season. I don't know if I will. Again, I have a senior in high school, and I don't know how it went that fast. I've been through this once. Oh, the iron thing. I'll share a video over on my Facebook group of what I'm thinking about. It is meant for, the iron that I'm looking at is meant for quilters, like big quilters, which Julie over at some Sassy Sunflower might be interested, or like people that are in like the home care industry. I think it's like you can do sheets. It's pretty amazing, but it's quite pricey. So I'm saving. That's one of the things that I'm like saving money for, because if you buy my fabric, you can know that it took hours upon hours of extra loving care after I dyed it. Because I clip all the extra threads off. This weekend, I watched an entire season of Game of Thrones, clipping threads. And then I also try to get as much of like what I can with my regular iron, so that you don't have to do a whole lot of ironing when you're using my fabric, because that matters to me. So anyways, yes, hopefully someday I can get this iron that I just like feed it through. It's pretty nice, but it's not a heat press. It's different than that. Anywho, have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me on the sew along. Next week will be a tutorial style, so it will be a recorded style video. Thank you, Julie. So that will be a recorded video. Then I think we're going to be taking a week off, because we're moving my daughter to college, and then I think the last weekend or last Monday in the month we'll have another recorded tutorial. So at least 3 videos with this sew along this month. All right, see y'all soon.